Study your problems. That is the solution to almost every problem. But some problems are more dynamic than simply a lack of knowledge. The external problem might be my shoulder hurts when I do this movement, or my knee hurts, or my back, or my hip. An external problem could be you eat too much, you don't eat enough, you stay up too late, you don't sleep in, you don't take time to rest. All of those problems are going to have different solutions. But here's what I propose as a meta strategy for solving problems. And I borrow this from my Mission to Health program. It's describing problems in the external problem, the internal problem, and the philosophical problem. If you have a shoulder issue, when you move it around, when you move it up, back, down, it hurts. That will be an external problem. The internal problem would be how you feel about the shoulder. When my shoulder moves and it catches, I feel like it's always going to catch. And so I anticipate every time it moves around that it's going to get stuck. And then I'm actually afraid that when I move it, my shoulder's going to get stuck there and then I won't be able to use it. And then the philosophical problem, which is how it's unfair or burdensome. Giving voice to it. My shoulder moves, the external problem. I feel like it's going to get stuck. The burdensome issue or problem, the philosophical problem. I'm too young to get a shoulder replacement. It's unfair how my shoulder moves so poorly for someone at my age. Now, the reason to bracket an issue between an external, an internal, and a philosophical problem is because you begin to acknowledge the domains that we exist upon. We exist in this mechanical environment. When your finger breaks, the external problem, I can't use my finger. Well, we're going to have an emotional response to that at some level. And I believe emotional intelligence is extremely important, and one way you can maintain emotional intelligence is by giving voice to the internal problem. Well, my finger's broken. I forget about it, and I go to grab the towel, and it puts pressure on it, and it hurts, and I'm like, why can't I even grab a towel? Would be the philosophical problem. It's important to give voice to these three domains because it keeps the conversation with the problem, with the energy of the problem going. And it almost makes the problem more palpable, it makes it more digestible, it puts you on the same wavelength as the problem. And that is important. I have found that in my healing work to be extremely important because most often when we want a solution, we have to make space for it. And one of the best ways to make space for healing is to acknowledge the problem. Now, I'm not talking about blind positive thinking. I'm not talking about going to get an advanced degree from UPenn on positive psychology and thinking, well, how am I benefiting from the shoulder being hurt? Actually, I'm not even sure that's the right course of dialogue. But I think it's important to talk about the problem. What is it? How you feel about it, the internal problem, and the philosophical problem. Why is it so burdensome? Because as you give voice to those things, I think you also begin to give voice to a solution. I think in any great story, the story starts within the first few minutes of describing a problem. And so by you describing your problem, and hearing it and embodying it and being fully engaged with your energy, I do believe that you start to make way for your journey as the hero on your mission to health. You begin to calibrate, orient, and target solutions. Now, sure, You might begin to look up exercises on your phone. Or you might call somebody and ask for their advice. You start to begin to look for solutions. You start to ask, if I can't find it online, who do I know that can solve this problem? So instead of asking how, you ask for who. You begin seeking a solution. And because you have a degree of intimacy with the problem, you're going to be more on target for finding the right solution. And you're going to have to go through trial and error to find the right solution that solves the external problem, the internal problem, and the philosophical problem. But by bracketing that conversation into those segments energetically, you keep the conversation going with the problem. You don't get stuck. And you don't try to resist and allow it to persist by trying to deny that it's there. It's very helpful to give voice to it and keep the conversation going towards a solution, towards a plan of action. Okay, when it hurts that way, what can I do? Man, it makes me feel like I'm never going to be able to put my shirt on. Okay, what can we do about that? Can we find different shirts? So it starts to make space for solutions because you've started to acknowledge what the problems are. So I say, start with the problem in mind and describe the external, the internal, and the philosophical problem in order to get clear, to reduce the noise, to stop the fog, and laser in on a solution by starting with the problem. And in the solutions, you're going to start to ask better questions and you're going to find a better match. So if you like this, check out my YouTube, my Instagram, my website, dominicsessa.com. Sign up for my newsletter if you're already there. Thanks for being here, and I hope you enjoyed this video.